what do you think had more of a negative impact on the black community? The racism that you're talking about, or your show, Shoot the Messenger, where you had a black person lambast the entire black community and claim that he hates black people and put all of these false negative stereotypes, which since then have been amplified and grown. And the amount of kind of like, I'm not going to say spin-offs, but the amount of leverage that gave the white community to then make more false propaganda about the black community. They needed your show to do that. They needed your permission. That's why all of these raccoons, when they hand out these N-word passes, it's all the same thing. You need a black person to give them permission to do certain things, and then they go crazy with it. Yeah, and he doesn't really understand that.
If you knew what you were made of, then we would save the world.
Future AI, how you doing? He said West Indians bullied him. Yeah, and that comes out in his role. In, you can see that anger, that pent-up anger, that pent-up hatred for black people. You can see it in his role in Shoot the Messenger. Now, I've only been able to find a couple of clips. They're not incredibly extensive, okay? So I'm going to fill in some of the blanks for you guys. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and watch the whole movie, but I do feel the need to show this to you so you guys understand where I'm coming from. So let's go again.
As a programmer, I was well paid and had good prospects, but I kept seeing the headlines. Black boys failing, gun crime goes up again. Another week, another death. I was drawn to do something.
And by the way, even this scene here, yeah, of black boys throwing a bag and there's a black boy in the middle trying to, I'm going to be really honest here. This is like white behavior. Honestly, black boys do a lot of things, and I'm not the type to sit here and defend the kind of things that happen in the black community. Low-level bullying like this is very much white behavior. This is the kind of thing that you'll see white kids doing to one another. Honestly, this is me being totally honest. I know the kind of things that black people do. Black people do crimes like aggravated burglary. Yeah, I'll put my hand up straight away and say that's definitely a black person crime. You know, someone to come up to the street and say, "What you got? Open your pockets." That's black crime. Yeah, in school, like black people will probably walk around more likely in a school to walk around in kind of like crews. Okay, and then maybe one of them gets into a little something and then it's on and a big crowd comes around. But low-level bullying, like throwing a, you know, just making someone's life miserable for the sake of it, that really is like bread and butter white behavior. But they want to project it onto black people, and this is one of the things that you'll get used to experiencing if you was to live in the UK. They project everything negative about their community onto black people. They don't care if it fits or if it doesn't. They'll just project it straight onto us. They do it all the time. They do it all the time. I'm being totally honest with you. And I'm saying that, by the way, as a qualified teacher who has taught black and white kids. I'm not here trying to make one group sound better than the other. I'm just talking about certain behavioral traits that you'll see in certain groups as opposed to others. And this is just a projection of behaviors that don't match the people. That's just being totally honest.
You, detention.
Allow it, sir. You know how allow it.
I was desperate to do something. I just didn't know what. Then I went to a meeting that I'd seen advertised in the papers. It was like a call to arms.
Brothers and sisters, my experience of being a counselor is that black boys are being systematically destroyed by the system.
No, I think what you...
And just to be clear, by the way, even that sentence of being destroyed by the system, they are. But he would have articulated that much better than what they've said here. They just tried to make it sound irrational. It just sounds like we're just blaming something mythical. But it's like, no, actually, the education system in the UK is literally designed for the deconstruction of black students. And this is supported by the statistics, supported by the fact that black kids enter the education system at a much higher level than when they leave. It means that they're not developed by neither the curriculum, nor mostly, or most of the time it's the teachers who don't try to develop them. And when I say don't try to develop, I mean actively deconstruct their progression. And this is something that I've had to fight against as a parent and as a teacher. I've seen it happen. I've seen teachers try to take a smart kid, and then because they normally Asian teachers, by the way, Asian teachers are the worst for this. When they got a smart black kid, it causes something to malfunction in them, and they have to prove to themselves that Asians are better. And so they'll try and destroy them. They literally will. I've had it time and time again with my kids throughout their schooling experience of Asian teachers. I'll always have these kinds of problems. But even aside from that, just the very education system, you know, they'll start teaching them about, you know, civil rights. And bear in mind, this is the UK, not America. Civil rights and segregation, they started teaching my kids that from the age of 5. They understand how sick these people are. And they're doing that to actively make black people feel inferior. They teach them, Black History Month is teaching them that basically black people have been nothing but slaves throughout history. So they're very, very, very aware of the things that they're doing.
Just said is totally irresponsible. We are all concerned about the performance of black boys.
But too often, you're
And that's just a politician speak. Well, they're not concerned.
more concerned about their performance on the football field.
Why would he be shouting like that? Do you see the caricature of black protests they're putting here? Black people make legitimate protests. Black people raise legitimate arguments, legitimate rebuttals, legitimate concerns about the way education is being delivered, about the way our communities are being targeted, and they just present it as this caricature of some man shouting down the microphone. Once again, something that we just don't do. All of these projected behaviors upon us.
Doesn't the panel see in the reporting of these statistics in the tabloid press yet another attempt to make the black community look bad?
It went on like this most of the night. Everyone blaming everyone else. No real solutions offered. The problems were beginning to look insurmountable when it happened.
Okay, Mary, as a teacher.
And just to jump on that statement of everyone blaming everyone else, the problem, well, first of all, the problem with that statement initially, and I'm not supposed to be critiquing this, but I have to say this. The problem with that statement is that nothing is being presented here that is a threat to white hegemony. Okay, nothing here that is being presented is a problem or hurdle or obstacle to white children. So you're talking about, you know, everyone's blaming everyone else, but it's kind of like, well, white people have got no one to blame because they've got no issue to overcome here. The only people with an issue to overcome are the black minority population who have very legitimate gripes with the way that things are being delivered. So the solution, as it is in America, it's the same in the UK, lies in the hands of the state, who have all of the power, all of the leadership, all of the funding, all of the policies that are actually enacting oppression upon our portion of the population. So we're not the holders of the solution. So you're once again creating victim blamingnesses. You know what I mean? You're looking at the people who literally are in many ways powerless, and then turning around to them and saying, oh, you're not providing any solutions. It's like, well, the solutions are with the person who actually has the command over the policies, who has the funding, who has control over the state, who has control over the police. That's who the power lies with. Do you not understand that?
Yeah. What do you think is needed?
We need more black teachers. Tell it. Yeah. But what I think we really need, what I think could really turn this thing around, are more black male teachers. These boys need role models. They need to be able to see and hear that there is an alternative to the gangs, to the streets, to the...
Look at this.
Okay, so that's the first scene from Shoot the Messenger. Let me play you some other ones now. I won't interrupt these ones so much. The synopsis is that he decides after his experience, essentially, that black people are no good, black women are no good, black men are no good, black boys are hopeless. That's the outcome of the movie. Okay, that's the outcome of the movie. All right, so it's not like this isn't a positive portrayal of black struggle and a reasoned argument. I mean, look at this face he's making here. This is very typical of his character. Yeah, someone who is conniving and snide and who hates the black community. But let me carry on.
I'm going to force these boys to learn. They're no angels, but I don't think this place helps. I'm the only black teacher in a school of 800 pupils where 70% of them are black.
I had the same thing, by the way, but except my school wasn't a black majority. It was a black minority, but I was the only black teacher. And I was the best teacher, by the way. And I ended up being the youngest faculty member, the youngest head of faculty in London when I took the job of head of faculty in that school. I was the youngest head of faculty in London. Just thought I'd throw that out there as a little tidbit.
Joe, the head wants to see you.
What now? He said I did what?
He says that you assaulted him.
Well, that's ridiculous.
I know it is.
So what he's talking about here is a black child accuses him of assault. Once again, false accusation of a crime, normally assault, is a white behavior. Okay, this is a white behavior, normally white female, but let's just say in general, a behavior that a white child might do, accuse you. Now, black kids accusing you of assault when nothing occurred just because they dislike you. Once again, this is a projection of behaviors that we don't normally see in the black community. Now, I know this is a creative piece of work. A lot of people are like arguing, oh, well, it's not going to be, not everything has to be based on real life. But it's like, if you're making a piece that is supposed to be, supposed to provide a narrative about a certain community, at least make it a fair narrative, at least make it something that behaviors that you see that are actually endemic within that community, highlight them, highlight those flaws. Yeah. Don't highlight every single societal flaw and make it seem like it only comes from that community, because frankly, we as black people are sick of being scapegoated for white crimes. I say we as black people, I'm sick of it. I know there's a bunch of black people that absolutely don't mind being scapegoated for white crimes, but I'm personally tired of it. I don't want to be scapegoated for, like, keep your your kiddie fiddling, house burglaring, all of those other, quote unquote WM crimes. Keep them to your own community and stop projecting them upon us, because we don't do half of the things that you claim that we do, which I find very frustrated.
But you know what the procedures are. Every complaint has to be investigated, no matter how flimsy and no matter how unreliable the source.
So what happens now?
Nothing. I've investigated, and I find his accusations unfounded.
Thank you.
So white savior saves him. Black kid accuses him. White savior, headmistress, saves him from what should have been a, suspension or something else, which is normally what happens in these circumstances. And that's where the hatred begins. And bear in mind, he's used the word, he's talking about a black boy there, bastard. Yeah, once again, this film is vile. Yeah, I have to make that very, very clear. It's very vile in the way it depicts the black community. Last one. I'm going to show you the last clip from this movie. Thank you very much, Macy, for your $5 donation. She says, you just demonstrated excellence of our community. Thank you for sharing some details of your educational background. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's not something I normally share, but why not? Why not share something that, yeah. And when I was doing it, I didn't even consider myself to be an exception. I just thought I was doing what we're all capable of doing, essentially. That's the way I view us. That's the way I was brought up to view what we're capable of. But I appreciate that you recognize that. Thank you very much, Macy. This is also another returning theme of this show. So black women wearing weaves or wigs on their head is a returning theme. And actually the climax of this film is he attacks his girlfriend who has hair extensions, not weave, hair extensions. She just has extended. And he shouts at her and he says, why have you got to put that fake Indian's hair in your head? Why have you got to block? And he lambasts her in the middle of a party, talking about the fact that you're not proud of yourself, this, that, and the other. And he's shouting and he's screaming at her. And this returning theme. So imagine, look at this scene. Yeah, this is the kind of disrespect. He's with, I'm presuming this is his mum, who's in this hair shop and she's trying on wigs. And bear in mind, all of this is just done to denigrate the black community, to show our women are not proud of themselves, our boys are little troublemakers, our men are thugs. And if you've got any common sense or any decency as a black person, you will hate the black community. That's what this movie says. Let's watch the rest of this scene.
How about this one?
That's nice.
She's not even wearing it straight. So can you see, like, they're deliberately just being insulting? Do you know what I mean? Like, she's not even wearing it straight on her head, but it's this scene is done to ridicule black people, you know?
More glamorous.
There's a big church due on Sunday. People are coming from all over, apparently.
How about this one?
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, I baptize you in the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Surprise!
And it's a very common trope as well when, and I'm sorry to say this, I don't mean to offend anyone, but anti-blackness tends to go hand in hand with this idea that good black people can only be found in the church. That's another stereotypical trope that they like to push out there. And something tells me there's just something very compatible with the slave narrative about all of that. You know, this idea that you can only find good black people in one place, and that place happens to be the place of religion where they practice this version of Christianity. So anyway, I've given you that background now. Let's get into his interview with Godfrey, okay? Which like I said, it's not all bad, but I did want to paint the picture to you guys that I don't like him, and I can't lie about that. And I don't like him because I don't think he likes black people. During Black Lives Matter, all of the sellouts and raccoons came out of the woodwork and started being the mouthpiece for the black community. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but the real ones, yeah, who have always been true to their blackness during Black Lives Matter didn't really do or say anything. They just carried on about their life. But the ones who had really sold their soul and who saw the direction that Black Lives Matter was taking, and who thought to themselves, oh, you know, I need to do something, I need to present some kind of pageantry here, they became extremely vocal. And I remember David Oyelowo was one of the very loud people during the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, he had all the crocodile tears and everything, talking about his experience. Oh, so all of a sudden he remembered how badly he was treated and how racism had affected him, something that he'd never spoken about previously and hasn't spoken about since. Since then, it's always been black people's fault. But before then, during Black Lives Matter, it's suddenly safe to blame white people. I'm just going to play this one really quickly, because I feel like
people often ask me, is it different in the UK as it pertains to race? It's different, but it's the same. You know, racism is racism. You know, treating people differently on the basis of the color of their skin is the definition of racism. In the UK, it's more subtle. It's couched in class, in politeness, and through the excuse that a lot of the bad behavior historically happened on the African continent or in the Americas. But the reality is that it is just as insidious, just as evil, just as impactful to people who look like us there as it is in America. People often...
So that's not entirely what I want to watch, but you got an idea there. So he'll complain about racism every now and then. Obviously, my response to him would be, what do you think had more of a negative impact on the Black community? The racism that you're talking about, or your show, Shoot the Messenger, where you had a Black person lambast the entire Black community and claim that he hates Black people and put all of these false negative stereotypes, which since then have been amplified and grown. And the amount of kind of like, I'm not going to say spin-offs, but the amount of leverage that gave the white community to then make more false propaganda about the Black community. They needed your show to do that. They needed your permission. That's why all of these raccoons, when they hand out these N-word passes, it's all the same thing. You need a Black person to give them permission to do certain things, and then they go crazy with it. Yeah. And he doesn't really understand that.